My name is Isaac Bati Omwenga, alias Casper.
Okay, and what do you do for a living?
Professionally, I'm a teacher, a tutor, and currently I'm doing research for a living.
Okay, and what are some of your hobbies?
Hobbies: watching movies, running,
like marathon,
and socializing with people.
Okay. So which character are you playing in TASH novella?
In TASH, I'm playing the character of Inspector Okello. Yeah.
So can you briefly define Okello, Inspector Okello in TASH?
Okay. The character Okello in TASH is a person, first of all, who is very corrupt. Secondly, he is a womanizer. Thirdly, he's a lone ranger. And is not married throughout the telenovela.
What do you mean that he's a lone ranger?
Realistically, inspectors should be working as a team. They should have a partner they should be working with, but in this case, Inspector Okello prefers working alone. No, madam. We had a case on a disappearing lady by the name TASH, and we have very credible evidence that the person who was involved, this is one of his hideouts.
Okay. So in an overview, which role is Detective Okello trying to depict in this story?
Okay, in the story of TASH, Inspector Okello is coming out to be a corrupt officer because he's trying to show the relationship between drug trafficking and corruption, and also women corruption.
Kwani nitapisha mara 100 kama ufumbui? Karibu nimea hapa kwa mlango. Kwani ulikuwa unafanya nini?
Pole, nilikuwa bedroom napanga nguo.
Next time usijaribu kuniweka kwa mlango hivyo. Umesikia?
And what role police officers play in aiding crime in the society. That's exactly what Inspector Okello is trying to bring out in the telenovela.
However, we have seen in the entire movie that Okello doesn't seem to appear to be reporting to anyone, and with all the atrocities and crime that Okello is committing, seems as if he's not answerable to any system or anyone. How is that balance coming in, that an inspector can just do whatever he wants to do without being answerable to anyone?
The problem with the society is that most people, when they report to the inspector and he trashes their cases, they do not make a follow-up to the superiors. And Inspector Okello appears to be one of the people who knows on how to go around with superiors. For instance, there is a case where he organized with one of the criminals by the name Oke and Chelsea. They managed even to get high-level security for diplomatic vehicles when they were going to do some drug trafficking in Uganda. So I think that shows that this person has connections which are much higher than his superiors, which gives him the authority to work as a lone ranger and do the stuff the way he was doing.
Okay, let's talk about the relationship between Inspector Okello and D. How can you explain it?
Okay, the D is a baby mama to Inspector Okello. They have a love-hate relationship because they work together at a particular point, and at a particular point they are not working together. So that relationship is not quite good, and D is the only woman in Inspector Okello's life who seems to understand the cop and can find a way of controlling him, because at some few instances we have had D giving that information to she, that the inspector cannot do anything to him because she knows how to control him. So to some extent I think D understands Inspector Okello, which gives her leverage over Inspector.
Bwana officer, you can have this for my freedom until my lawyer returns to the country.
Another offense. Are you trying to bribe a police officer?
Sasa yeye nani ajua unakuanga corrupt? Mbona kwanza leta hii hapa?
Kwa nini mnajuana?
Okay, but the general observation is that Inspector Okello is a bully.
Usihame kwa nyumba. I will take care of you. As long as you keep this little secret of ours. Unasikia? And you make me a happy man. Songa karibu.
And he's feared, by many. So how is it then that it appears that D is not really that fearsome too?
The reason why D is not fearing Inspector Okello is because D is the only woman in Inspector Okello's life who has sired with him. So they have a kid with the inspector, though the inspector is not taking care of the baby. And she understands the dynamics and the bosses whom Inspector Okello fears. So to that extent, this makes Inspector Okello somehow fearful to D. He fears D because he feels that if he becomes a bully to D, D is going to report him to the superiors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, and another very interesting relationship is between Okello and Voke the thug. How can you also explain that?
I think Voke comes out to be mtu wa mkono in Kiswahili. That's a right-hand man for Inspector Okello.
Kuanzia leo, you are going to be mtu wangu wa mkono.
So when he wants to do dirty deals and he doesn't want to appear, he uses Okello, which brings out a good relationship between the inspector and the thug. And actually that's what happens in the society mostly. You find that criminals hire guns from the friendly policemen who are corrupt, and their relationship is usually very good unless at a particular moment if a thug becomes unruly or maybe breaks a certain code of conduct between the two of them. That's the moment now the police has upper hand in killing the thugs.
Wakati nilikuchukua uwe mtu wangu wa kufanyia vitu zangu. Unasikia? Ha? Hapo. Mikono juu. This is the guy who beat me up the other time.
So when the story ends, it appears as if Okello killed Voke, but a question still remains, because at the end of it, Voke is seen at like running away, trudging with the wound. How was the whole issue, and what was Okello's plan behind the mind? Was he really intending to kill Voke, or was it like just a mistake that he was never sure whether Voke died or not?
What brought that incidence is we have a code of conduct in mostly with the corrupt, the drug dealers, and the criminals. You should avoid indulging in women.
Mi hizi biashara zetu tunafanyanga na wewe eh? Kuna vitu zenye sitaki uniingishe mahali pabaya saa zingine, unaona? Hii biashara iko na rules. Rule number 1, na usimwaga hiyo chama yetu. Wanawake waachane na wao. Unasikia? Unapata. Wanawake ndio walifanya hata Samson akauawa.
So Voke made a mistake when he decided to go and rape Tash. And at that particular moment, you find that if Voke was going to be arrested and taken to a court of law, he was going to expose Inspector. So when Richie was giving him pressure, Voke, I think that's the moment Okello decided that he should save Voke's life by feigning his death and find a way of releasing the thug from Kenya and make the story cool down before they continue their things. So to some extent, Voke made a wrong choice by making those moves, and that is what led to Inspector Okello trying to shoot him and save his life later, because they had a good relationship and Inspector Okello wanted to use him afterwards.
Okay. So in your own opinion, what do you think TASH is all about?
TASH has, I think, I can bring out 3 themes. According to me, in my own opinion, there is the theme of corruption.
Okay, I'm a detective and I will pursue this case, but from time to time I will need your support.
You mean financial support?
No. Your tax will take care of that.
I know how you guys work here. Anyway, take this. Hope you understand the process.
Okay.
There is also the theme of unfulfilled promises of love. We see breakups. Tash breaks up with Voke, and she ends up breaking up with Richie. Dee broke up with Okello. So you find that there is that aspect which comes about on broken relationships, which is very common in the relationships. And also under the relationships, there's the aspect of friends sharing men or something like that, and it's not that much clear. Then also there is the aspect of reformation. When we see Tash, that brings out the rehabilitation part of it. Tash starts as a girl who's into drugs, into very funny things, and in love with Voke, who was a pauper, feeding the Tash with drugs instead of food. And Tash comes across a person in the name of Richie, who was capable of giving her what she wanted. And Richie managed to get Tash out of drugs, and Tash became one of the most loved girl in the telenovela after the transformation.
Babe, unajua wewe ni malaika katika maisha yangu. Because of you, naenda hadi days bila kutumia mihadarati.
So there is that aspect of transformation. Under love, before you forget, there is also the aspect of building a perfect kind of relationship between Zeki and Besh, whom, despite staying in the same house, they do not have to indulge in sex, and they have stayed for a long period without indulging in sex.
You know, you're the first lady to set her feet in this house. And if I had you or place you,
your dirty mind. If you ever try these silly antics on me again, I will never step foot here. God forbid. Fornication and lasting. God.
And they managed probably to plan their wedding, which we have not yet seen, but I hope maybe in season 2, maybe let's hope they will not break up and have a relationship, their wedding, and maybe it can be perfect marriage.
I'm the happiest woman alive. I can't believe after those hard hurdles, I'm now going to have a wedding of my own. Thank you, God.
Yeah, you have looked forward to this event. How great they've had.
Talking about season 2, and we see the whole story ending up with a strange phone call coming from who knows where. What would be your predictions?
The girl who came from the airport, she was a very beautiful girl and seems to have maybe the way I saw the reaction of Richie in the face, it shows you that this is the girl. Richie comes out as a guy who doesn't fear anything, but that call made him tremble. So probably this is a girl who knows the weakness of Richie. So I'm really thrilled to see the second season coming out, and I see the character who came in at the last minute, what she's going to do to the other characters.
Hi. Who's that son? Hi, honey.
Okay, and so far, what has been your hardest scene while shooting?
Hardest scene while shooting was 2 scenes. One that I killed a thug who came to my house, and the one that I killed she. The hardest actually is killing she. When I went to kill her, it was hard because she was a woman. I have to touch her, and strangle her while I'm holding her. And she's a woman. I'm like, okay, how am I going to hold this girl? If I hold her tight, she might die for it. So it was the hardest. But dealing with the Wakora who came to my house and other people was quite easy.
Talking about that, how did you manage to kill a person using a pan?
Yeah, that's a tactic we usually use in the military. Anything that you have in your hand is a weapon, and by knocking the thug in the forehead, I destabilized his brain, and that led to his death.
Anyway, thank you so much for the time you've had with us. We are really anticipating the season 2 to come, if at all it's going to be done. And I want to congratulate you for the good work that you did as Detective Okello. Thank you, Sana.